Oh my god, glitter M forehead reveal. Crazy. Hello everyone and welcome back to another Disney movie review. So, this one I have been wanting to talk about for a very long time. Even though this is not one of my favorite Disney princesses, I still think out of all the princesses, she kind of fits with my personality. I mean, the books, the manga, I'm writing a book. I am literally a Belle, okay? As much as I want to escape it, I can't. I'm a Belle. It is what it is. But yeah, I have been wanting to talk about this movie for a very, very, very long time because this was actually the first ever live action Disney film remake that I have ever seen. And at first, I'm not gonna lie, I thought a little bit differently about it than I do now. So I was going to make this video just going in, like this movie came out in 2017. So I was gonna give you a review from like, you know, Emily's perspective in 2017, but I was like, no. Why would I do that? That's so stupid. Let me go rewatch it and get it fresh in my brain to give you guys my opinion on it now. And I'm so glad that I did that because genuinely, I went into this movie already having an opinion formed from 2017. And now 2025, Emily is like, huh, no. I don't think that way anymore. So let's go ahead and talk about my review of the live action Beauty and the Beast. By the way, don't worry, you're gonna see this in a video soon. I think we all know the story of Beauty and the Beast. Belle is a girl, everybody thinks she's strange, and she loves to read books, and one day her father gets captured by the Beast, so she takes her father's place in the Beast's castle, and they just kind of like get to know each other. They fall in love, even though he's a beast and a little bit of a brute. He's selfish. He still has kind of a little bit of a kind heart, and Belle breaks through to him with that kind heart. They have this beautiful dance scene, and then basically Belle finds out that her father is being held captive, and so she races back to the village. The Beast lets the Belle go, and then the Gaston, no one's as thick as Gaston, is like, oh, there's a Beast. No, she can't have him. I want him. I want one of them. Gaston's like, we gotta go kill this Beast because I want to marry Belle. And Belle's like, no, I love him. They fight. Gaston dies. The Beast almost dies. But by the power of Disney's true love, Belle is able to break the curse upon the Beast and turn him back into a human named Adam, who is a ginger, and do we like the Beast or Adam more? I'll leave that for the comments. Anyway, they live happily ever after in the kingdom, and she's a princess now. Yay! I think we all know the story of Beauty and the Beast, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time recapping that. So, let's talk about the live action remake now. First and foremost, when the cast got announced, I was thrilled because genuinely, I have always wanted Emma Watson to play Belle. I have been one of those people, and I'm sure there's many people out there, but I was one of the people who was like, absolutely, Emma Watson is Belle. She is the perfect person to play Belle. I mean, come on. She's Hermione Granger. She played Hermione so perfectly. She is literally a Belle. She would be the perfect Belle. And so when I saw that she was in fact casted as Belle, I was thrilled. I was like, this movie is going to be absolutely banger because Emma Watson is Belle. But there are a few things that I didn't like. There are some things that I do like, so I'm gonna leave the things that I do like towards the end so that this video isn't me like seemingly griping a lot, but there are a few small things, and I actually do mean this, a few small things that I didn't like about this movie. And again, if I had just reviewed this movie without rewatching it again, I probably would have griped a little bit more, but rewatching it now, I actually don't dislike some of the things that I disliked as much in the past. So first and foremost, the one thing that I do have to say that I don't like is I don't love the way that they auto-tuned Emma Watson's voice.
Waking up to say,
you know that song where they're like griping about Belle and whatnot? her voice is very auto-tuned there. And if you actually listen to Emma Watson sing, because she sung before, and in certain parts of the movie where she is singing, she has a beautiful voice. She has a cute, delicate, like Disney princess voice. It's a very sweet voice, and yet I don't know why they chosen, whatever. Why did they have to auto-tune it so much? That is the one question I don't understand. I am someone, and this is just maybe my own music preference, I hate overly auto-tuned voices. I know in music, when you make music, you will use a little bit of auto-tune. That's just how it is. But I hate the overly exaggerated auto-tuneness. I hate it. And so when I first heard her sing this like opening song in 2017 when the movie came out, I was disappointed because that is not what I was expecting. I was wanting, you know, the typical princessy voice, and Emma Watson again has this beautiful voice, and it's light and it's so perfectly princessy, and I just cannot stand the auto-tune. I could not stand it. But again, I didn't hate the singing as much as I thought I would, because, and it was mostly Emma Watson singing that I was kind of like picky with in the beginning because of the auto-tune. She has a beautiful voice. I just don't understand why they auto-tuned it. But I will say that a lot of the people in this movie are actually like Broadway stars, and I think that adds so much to it. I really think that if you are going to make a Disney movie, a live action version, you need to find some good singers. And I think there are no better people to play characters than the Broadway characters. The singing was amazing. I'll talk about that more to the end, but like, I was blown away. Next, my biggest gripe was the dress. And I would say that my opinion has gotten a little bit better about this dress, but not 100%. I am not 100% down with the live action Belle dress. Let's just say that. For example, this is the dress that she wears. It is this beautiful ruffled kind of like, not even ruffled, what do you call this? Bunched maybe? Bunched ball gown. It's beautiful. It is a beautiful dress. And I am not gonna lie, I was disappointed by the lack of poof in the dress. This dress, Belle's cartoon dress, is super, super poofy. But then the dress that Emma Watson wears is much more like on the ruffle side. Like it's got 3 like panes of like ruffles or like layers even. And I just don't love that. Yes, hello, Editor M here to tell you. I just wanted to touch up on this a little bit because this is what I wish would have happened. Again, this is the iconic Belle dress that we see. But these are some of the renditions that we've seen over the years of Belle's dress, just more sparkly and just a little bit more elevated. That is what I wanted to see for Belle's dress. I didn't want to see the iconic shape of the dress be taken away. I wanted to still see that kind of like poofy kind of shape, and yet they kind of took it away. It feels so much more of like a flat A-line dress, and I wanted to see this, like these images, that's what I wanted to see. I will say the iconic scene where, you know, the dress like comes to life in the movie is really nice. I do love seeing in the movie, there's like the scene where like this gold trim kind of like floats through the air and like imprints itself on the dress. Seeing the dress up close a little bit more, I do love it. I do like it, but it's still in my heart is not the kind of dress that I was hoping for. And I'll talk about this movie separately, obviously, but the dress for Cinderella, the Lily James live action Cinderella, that dress has changed my world. I have never seen a more beautiful dress. And when I saw the Cinderella dress, I was really hoping that we'd see something similar with Belle. And I just don't feel like I got that. I don't love that the dress is not as poofy as it is in the live action. That is my biggest flaw with it, is that I just don't love the lack of poof, you know? It's a Disney dress, especially in the beginning. They were very poofy. Hello again, yes, this is Editor M again. I completely forgot to talk about this, but I will say I actually liked in this movie the dress that Belle wears at the end so much more than the iconic Belle dress. And this is another reason why I'm so incredibly disappointed in the Belle dress that we see in the movie, because the white floral dress that she wears at the end when Adam is a human again and they're dancing again in the ballroom with everybody who has now been turned back to a human, they're having a ball, the dress that she wears there is 1,000 times prettier. The shape is prettier, and it makes me sad that obviously I don't like the iconic dress. You should want to see the iconic dress and not a new dress that they added in to the movie that wasn't there in the original. And again, bringing it back to Emma Watson, I don't want this to sound like a hate video or anything, because I love Emma Watson. I am a huge Hermione Granger fan. I feel like I probably would have been a Hermione Granger in the Harry Potter world, but I do have to say that her performance as Belle was not what I was expecting. And I don't mean to fully compare two movies that aren't the same princesses, but the Cinderella one with Lily James, I really felt like I was watching Cinderella. Lily James was able to really showcase Cinderella's kindness. Cinderella is a very sweet and very kind and very kind of timid girl, and I really do think that Lily James' portrayal of Cinderella matched it just about perfectly to how we see in stories, and especially in the Disney version. But in Emma Watson's case, I just feel like Belle was a little bit too stale. Belle, the Southern amaze coming at you, how? Belle in the Disney animation and the book. Belle is a very curious girl. She's yearning for adventure, but she's also extremely kind. And yes, we see moments, but I genuinely did not feel that she was as kind to the Beast as the live action. In the animation, she's very inquisitive. She's scared, but she still wants to get to know him more. And she has moments where she's trying to touch his face or just trying to get closer to him. I hope I'm explaining this where other people can understand it, but I just didn't feel like it was the same character. To me, she just felt more scared, and it definitely felt like she just got comfortable being around the Beast. Whereas in the animation for Disney, I really felt like Belle was kind of pushing herself to really get to know him more. She was trying to get to know him more, whereas in the live action, I feel like, she just kind of got comfortable with him and just just kind of let it happen. Whereas Belle in the animation was a little bit more determined to get to know him maybe. But I don't know, there's just something about Emma Watson's Belle that I did not quite feel like was the Belle that I remembered from the animation. Let me know how you feel about that though, because maybe I'm not explaining this perfectly right, but it was like there's something missing, And obviously, we're going to have to compare the animation to the live action, and I genuinely think that that's one of the things that cartoons and animation does better than live action, is that it has this very rich, beautiful, scenes that only animation can really capture. And the ballroom dance in the animation is so much thousands times better than what we got in the live action. The way that the camera angle, and it's just animation, it's just drawing, it's art, but the way that the camera angle works in the original, especially with Belle's poofy dress, it is mesmerizing. It's rich, it's velvety. I want to watch it. I feel like I'm watching a romantic, beautiful dance where two people from two different lifestyles, two different worlds are falling in love with each other over a dance. The way that Belle snuggles closer to the Beast in Tale as Old as Time is beautiful. It really showcases that she is starting to open up her heart to him and that he's letting her in. I didn't get that in the live action. Let's be honest, I didn't get that. They danced. Woohoo, anyone can dance. I didn't feel that richness, the literal opening their hearts to each other. Did not feel that in that. Didn't feel it whatsoever. The cinematography was beautiful, but it's just not how the animation made me feel. The animation, again, it was rich, it was beautiful, it was saturated and beautiful, and I didn't get that kind of warmth from the live action. before we move on to the parts of the movie that I actually liked, I do just want to say, because I have seen a lot of reviews on this movie, and especially with Reddit, I feel like Reddit people, you're kind of stupid. Because genuinely, I feel like Reddit people take things at face value without like using their noggins. But I have seen so many people saying, this movie is unwatchable. I can't even like compare it to the original. First of all, if you feel that way, then maybe you shouldn't be rewatching the Disney classics. Maybe they're not meant for you. I agree, the animation is always going to be better than the live action. That's just how it is. But the live action for this movie, I don't think was bad. I don't think that this was a bad movie whatsoever. I would give this movie like maybe a 7 out of 10. I usually save these reviews for the end, but I would give it a 7 out of 10 because it was watchable. I found myself enjoying it. I really found myself loving the scenery, not so much the characters. I did really love Gaston, but I enjoyed this movie, and if you think that this movie is unwatchable, then maybe this is just not for you. Maybe live actions aren't for you, and so maybe you should just leave that to other people. Did the movie have some issues? Yes, I would absolutely say yes. There's always going to be things that the live action cannot capture that the animation did beautifully. But again, it's so weird to see people like, especially I see a lot of adults, older than me adults, I'm 22, you know, bugging out about this film. This was a beautiful film. Like, let's get into the things that I like so I can talk about this. I loved the French decor, the Rococo era. I love that in general, but I love that they really showcased that in the movie because, let's be real, this does not look French. These outfits, they don't look French. They don't look like the era that they originated from. That's just how Disney is. It fell on the floor. It doesn't actually take those kind of historical elements. It might take like a little bit like maybe shape and body. Genuinely, I like that this movie really showcased the Rococo era, and I especially loved the beginning scene. And I will say, I'm someone who I have always defended the Beast, so maybe this should go in the negative section, but from my standpoint, I have always defended the Beast because I have always thought he was a young boy when he got transformed into the Beast. And it's very understandable that a young boy would be kind of like selfish and like, you know, if this old woman comes to your castle, then of course you're gonna be like, ew, I'm a kid, ew, stranger danger, you know, that's understandable. But in this movie, it really showcases him being an adult, a spoiled rich boy adult with no parents. And honestly, this scene can go either way because you don't actually know. We don't fully get the full clear picture of how old the Beast was when he turned into the Beast. We don't know if he was like, you know, a kid, a teenager, an adult. We just don't know. But for me, working with a timeline of how long they've been turned into the Beast, how long the servants have been turned into, like, you know, inanimate objects, I think that in that timeline that they would have to grow up, you know, they wouldn't be the same age. But honestly, maybe I'm wrong because I've always felt like the crack in that theory was Chip, because Chip is a boy, so would he have been like a baby or like a toddler by the time that the curse, you know, started and like worked his way up into being like, you know, a boy, like as a cup? Like, I don't know. So maybe time did stand still, maybe their ages stood still, I don't know. But I've always kind of believed that the Beast was a little bit younger and naive and selfish, but in this movie it showcases him being a spoiled adult. And before we wrap up this review, I just want to mention the dolls. Jump scare warning, sorry about that. The dolls are the worst that I have ever seen for any live action princess. And it's been a couple years since this movie came out, but the disrespect that they did to Emma Watson with these dolls, it's disgusting. Emma Watson is extremely beautiful, and I don't know why they did this with the dolls. This is disrespectful. If I was Emma Watson, I would be suing. This is horrible. This is horrible. No one is going to want to buy this. If you have this, genuinely, my question to you, with one word, is why? Why? Why did you buy this? I don't understand. This is not Belle. I don't know what mold or who was thinking that this was a good marketing idea. It's not. I don't even want this on my screen anymore. Get that out of here. Like, why? Genuinely, that was horrible. I'm sorry I had to show that to you, but I need you to know that's horrible. That is the worst thing that came from this movie. Belle is beautiful. Emma Watson is beautiful. Why did you disrespect her like this? I want to know. I want to have a word. So I did look up this movie to see the rating on IMDb, and they give it a 7.1. And I think that is extremely fair. I think this is the best score that I can agree with for a live action remake of a Disney film, because I agree with this. I said before I would give it a 7 out of 10. 7.1, I agree with this. I definitely agree. There were things that I liked about it, but there were just a few things for me personally that I'm like, this kind of broke the film. The lack of the magic, especially in that ballroom scene, really hurt the movie in my opinion, and the auto-tune and the singing, and also like just Belle's character being a little bit stiff, I didn't quite enjoy. But it was a very beautiful movie, and I think that's the thing that too many people kind of like take for granted with the live action movies, that you just need to kind of push your nostalgia feelings aside and just watch the film as it is. Let's be real. A live action is never going to convey the same feeling that you have from watching the animation for the first time. It's never gonna beat that. And I think you need to watch these movies with a grain of salt, because literally, I read some of the Reddit comments and it's just disgusting. It's like people are like, I can't even watch this. It's not the same. Of course it's not gonna be the same. It's not gonna convey the same feeling because it's a live action. Always choose the animation. Like, let's be real. Always choose the animation. But genuinely, I give this a 7 out of 10 because if I saw this movie in the theater, I would leave feeling satisfied. I watched this movie and at the end, I felt satisfied by it. And that's the stakes, sadly, nowadays for Disney. In my opinion, I definitely think that Disney's magic in films are kind of dwindling a little bit. They've not really released as many good ones, like Moana 2, Wish have not been biggest hits. I did like Inside Out 2, but I have not been liking as much Disney stuff, and I have not been as enthusiastic with some of the new Disney releases that have been coming out recently. So I definitely feel like this movie was kind of the start, you know, when they started to twinkle down the magic a little bit, because it's a good movie, but it's just missing some key magical aspects that would have made the movie so much better. And I genuinely think if they had spent a little bit more time with the ballroom scene and made it a little bit more closer to the original, I think that would have changed the movie significantly for the better. But anyway, let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. How do you feel about the live action versus the original animation? And also tell me how you feel about Emma Watson being Belle, because genuinely I have always thought that she would be the perfect Belle. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, leave me your thoughts about this movie down below in the comments. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye!